Hey, this is the Love Doctor, and you know the news is swirling around sports today, and we just have to, talk about the GOAT. Nick Saban has retired from the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I just wanted to say, my brother, Daryl Drake, rest in peace, was in sports for some 30 years, spent like 6 or 7 years at Texas. Spent he spent almost 7 8 years at Georgia. He also was at the Chicago Bears, and I learned a lot about him when big time coaches are leaving. One thing he said to me back in those days, he said, "Believe me, they will have a head coach named within 72 hours." And so now we've got basically 48 hours left. And believe me, that Greg Byrne has thought about this for some time, and he has known for some time that he may have to make this decision. So he does have a short list. I just want to say this coaching the Alabama Crimson Tide is just not any college. It's a Power Five football program. And I think a lot of y'all can remember that before Nick Saban came here, we went through 2 or 3 coaches that just could not get it done. One of the factors that a lot of coaches wouldn't touch Alabama with a 10-foot pole, but there are some coaches that would. But the pedigree of the next coach has to be somebody that basically has to be a phenomenal recruiter. He has to be a great coach. He has to understand how to put a great staff together. And more than that, he has to be a winner because this is just nothing else is acceptable in Alabama except for winning football. I have put a list of my own together. Of course, I'm not Greg Byrne, but being a sports doctor, I put a list together that I think may raise some eyebrows. I don't think it's the list that most people have thought about. A lot of people are whirling around NFL coaches. One thing I remember my brother saying to me that it was very difficult for NFL coaches to go back to coaching college because all the recruiting and the traveling and looking for players takes up a lot of time versus in the pros. The schedule is a lot A, B, C, D, E. So, hey, let's take a look at the sports doctors list. Now, I don't have these in order in terms of the best coach. I'm just going to run down the list. Now, number one that I have on my list, actually, Steve Sarkisian. I just think Steve would be a great fit. He's learned some things in a couple of years he's been at Texas. But let me just say this Texas is no small program. They're about to head to the SEC, and I believe Steve really has himself a great top 5 football program. And you say, why would he want to jump from Texas to Alabama? I don't know. Having been around that program for a lot of years, I can tell you that Texas is a serious state for football, and the University of Texas is definitely right up there with Alabama. It may not be with national championships, but believe me, the money and the type of program that Texas has, they are not second to none. I would like to see Sarkisian leave to come to Alabama. I think would be a great fit, but I just don't really know if that's going to happen because who doesn't want to coach the Longhorns? Now, the next on my list is Mack Brown. I have not heard Mack Brown's name. I got a chance to be around Mack Brown a lot when he won a national championship at Texas. Mack Brown is a guy who knows how to get it done. He knows how to put a staff together. He understands X and O's. And I don't know how much Mack Brown is planning on coaching, but that's a coach that I would add to my list. Mack Brown in North Carolina. The next coach, Norvell, you've heard his name, the Florida State coach. I think he's done a tremendous job there. but Florida State is no Alabama. I talked about Steve Sarkisian, who I think would be a good fit. And then let's go down into a guy by the name of Dabo Swinney. I think 4 years ago, Dabo was high on a lot of Alabama's list, but here of late, Dabo is not into the NIL, which is definitely going to cause some recruiting problems. And for that reason, Dabo Swinney is out with me. I'm not really a Dabo Swinney fan. I do not believe that he would be a good fit for the Tide. Now, next on my list, Brian Kelly is at LSU. I believe if Alabama wanted Brian Kelly, they could go get him. Now, he would be basically my number one pick to lead Alabama. Brian Kelly at LSU, I don't know why he would leave, but hey, Nick left LSU, and if Nick could leave LSU, I believe Brian Kelly could too. Brian Kelly's had like a second or third recruiting class. He's got a serious squad down at LSU, and it may take a lot to lure him away, but Alabama does have the loot. So this is something in this state that some of y'all might go frowning about, but Hugh Freeze is at Auburn, and Hugh Freeze is definitely a good coach. Auburn has nabbed themselves a very good coach, and in the next few years, it's going to be difficult as Alabama goes up against Auburn. As you saw this year, they only beat Auburn because of that Hail Mary, but they did. But Hugh Freeze is definitely a contender. The next person, University of Mississippi, was Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin is a extraordinary offensive mind. There's a little bad blood between Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban, and for that reason, I'm not sure that Nick would give Greg Byrne a blessing on Lane Kiffin. There's some old bad blood between Nick and Lane Kiffin about some things he said about recruiting with Tiger, what's his name? Tiger Low, what his name is in Miami. And so that basically ends my list. There are other people, that are going to be on this list. They got some, NFL players or NFL coaches that are moving around, but I do believe one of these coaches are going to be, by Saturday morning, you will know who the next Alabama coach will be. And he does have some tall boots to fill because let's face it, this is Alabama, Crimson Tide Nation, and they just believe in winning. But like everything, I've always said it, things are always changing. Whether you want to change or not, things are always changing. So be prepared. This is a lesson learned for everybody who's going through life. Always prepare yourself and be ready for change and be adaptable. Because that's the thing that really made Nick Saban the GOAT. He continued to reinvent himself and learn better ways on how to win football. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this sports breaking report and breaking news on Nick Saban. And like I said, by Saturday, you will know who the next Crimson Tide Alabama coach will be. I just wonder, will it be one of these guys on this list?